welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're trying to cut through some of the noise around a really critical and frankly high-profile case. That's the ongoing investigation into Charlie Kirk's assassination.
Yeah, absolutely. It's dominated headlines.
It really has. And our goal today is simple. Give you a clear, verified update. We're pulling this straight from official reports, the latest facts coming from the authorities involved. We want to basically distill what's been found, what we know, or what law enforcement knows about the person they're looking for, and just the wider context of this huge search.
And we're going to try and connect those dots. Go beyond just listing the facts. See how these pieces of evidence fit together to give a clearer picture of the investigation strategy.
Right.
And we'll definitely touch on the challenges here. I mean, a case like this, so visible, so political, it brings its own unique set of problems for investigators. We want you to understand those dynamics too.
Okay, so let's start then. Let's zero in on the immediate aftermath. What did authorities actually find first? One of the earliest big breakthroughs they shared publicly were these compelling images.
Yeah, those pictures and videos.
Exactly. The FBI, Utah officials, they released these pretty quickly. Photos and videos of someone they called a person of interest.
And it's probably worth clarifying what that means, person of interest.
Good point. Yeah, for clarity, that just means someone police think might have information, or maybe a connection to the crime. They aren't necessarily a named suspect, not formally charged. It's more of an investigative label, not a legal one.
Right. And what those initial images showed was, well, pretty striking. You see this individual, dark clothing, baseball cap, sunglasses, carrying a backpack. But the key detail, the thing that grabbed everyone's attention immediately, was seeing him actively fleeing, coming down from a rooftop right after the shot was fired.
It wasn't just a snapshot, it was a sequence.
Exactly. A clear sequence showing an escape in progress. It suggested right away some kind of planned exit.
It's incredibly specific visual information, but what's really fascinating, I think, is the detail that's come out since then about the suspect's movements before and after.
Yes, the surveillance analysis.
Right. It shows this wasn't just like a panicked run. The footage suggests a level of planning, maybe even premeditation, that really shapes how you look at this whole thing.
Absolutely. The surveillance, it shows he didn't just, appear on the roof.
Yeah.
He specifically used the interior stairwells, took a path to get to that vantage point before firing, and then, just as carefully it seems, he navigated back through the building to escape into those nearby woods.
So planning the entry, the position, and the escape route.
Precisely. It suggests someone who maybe knew the building layout, or at the very least had done some serious homework, some reconnaissance perhaps.
Yeah.
That kind of foresight tells investigators immediately, okay, we're likely dealing with someone methodical here, someone prepared.
And when you really picture that sequence, climbing stairs, getting into position on a roof, taking a shot like that, then making a calculated escape into cover, it really changes the focus, doesn't it? You're not just looking for someone impulsive, you're looking for someone potentially tactically minded. Every frame of that video, every movement, it's all being scrutinized, not just for who it is, but how they operate.
Trying to build that profile.
Yeah. It highlights the challenge. It's not just identification, it's understanding the mindset. But okay, the visual evidence, that was just the start. Investigators also pretty quickly found physical clues, and these tell maybe an even more detailed story.
The forensic side.
Exactly. They recovered a rifle, a high-powered bolt-action rifle, .308 caliber, found in the woods nearby. And it's strongly believed that's the murder weapon.
Finding the weapon itself, that's always a major step. Huge.
Of course. It's often that direct link.
And the type of weapon, that .308 bolt action, it signals something too, that caliber, that action type. It suggests a shooter aiming for precision, distance, skill, perhaps.
It's not random.
Not a spray and pray situation, no. It points to calculation. But maybe even more compelling for the investigators are the other forensic traces they collected. The tiny details.
Right, the so-called silent witnesses.
That's a good way to put it. They hold these incredibly specific clues, things the video might miss.
So what specifically are we talking about here? What kind of forensic details are building their case?
Well, they managed to lift a latent palm print from the rooftop, where the shot was presumably fired.
Latent meaning not immediately visible.
Exactly. Needs chemical processing, especially outdoors, but can provide that unique biometric signature. They also got good impressions of shoe prints, specifically Converse shoes the tread pattern.
Converse. Okay, that's specific.
Very. And maybe most intriguingly, an epidermal ridge mark. Basically like an arm or forearm print found along the escape ring.
And an arm print. Wow, I haven't heard of that being recovered often.
It's less common than fingerprints or palm prints for sure. But just as unique to an individual, finding one suggests maybe the suspect braced themselves against something.
Or slid, maybe.
Could be. Some kind of physical contact that left that trace. So you see, these aren't just vague clues. They are direct, tangible links. A palm print, a specific shoe brand's tread, an arm mark. These are incredibly precise potential identifiers.
Yeah, they could really narrow the focus if they get match, I mean.
Absolutely. Match it to a database or someone they eventually apprehend. It's powerful stuff. It really shows you the strength of forensic science, even from tiny traces left behind. Each mark is like a little signature.
Guiding them where maybe the video gets blurry.
Exactly.
Now, the public response, it's been, well, immense. Just a flood of information coming into investigators.
Understandably so.
The numbers are pretty staggering. Over 7,000 tips and leads reported from the public. 7,000.
That is extraordinary. An incredible volume.
It shows massive community concern, right? But it must also be a huge challenge to manage.
Oh, absolutely. Managing 7,000 tips. That's a monumental task for any agency. Logistically, analytically, it's tough.
You have to sift through it all.
Right. And the insight here, especially in a politically charged case like this one, is that a lot of that volume might be, well, noise, ideological speculation, mistaken sightings, maybe even deliberate misinformation.
That makes filtering incredibly hard.
It does. You're not just looking for the needle, you're dealing with a haystack that's actively trying to confuse you sometimes. Resource allocation becomes critical. How do you decide what to follow up?
So it's quality over quantity, presumably.
Pretty much. They've reportedly conducted around 200 interviews based on those tips, which suggests they are prioritizing, trying to verify, not just chasing everything. But despite all that effort, all those interviews, the suspect, as far as the latest official reports go, is still at large.
And they did detain a couple people earlier, right? As persons of interest.
That's correct. 2 individuals were brought in, but both were later released. No connection found. It just underscores how careful they have to be. Follow every lead, but get it right.
Yeah, you can't just jump to conclusions, especially under this kind of spotlight. It makes you think about the logistics of a modern manhunt. Balancing speed with accuracy, it's immense pressure.
No doubt about it.
Okay, so beyond those first images, authorities have also tried to build a more specific profile to help the public identify this person.
Refining the description.
Right. They believe the individual is college age, which is interesting. It implies someone who could potentially blend in pretty easily on a campus, for example.
That detail definitely shapes where investigators might look. Social circles, campus environments. But it's still a very broad category, college age.
True, but then they added more specific clothing details.
Yes, and this is where it gets potentially very useful. These specifics can sometimes cut through the anonymity.
So what are the details?
A dark, long-sleeve shirt, but with a distinctive motif. A U.S. flag and a bald eagle, plus the sunglasses and dark cap we mentioned earlier.
Okay, the flag and eagle motif, that seems quite specific.
It is. And then the footwear again. Specifically recorded wearing Converse shoes. Not just sneakers, but Converse.
So why is that level of detail, a shirt design, a shoe brand, why is that so critical when you're searching through potentially thousands of people?
Well, think about surveillance. We live in a world blanketed by cameras. These small, specific details, they become powerful filters.
Easier to search for.
Exactly. A unique shirt, a specific brand or color of shoe. It creates a visual signature. AI-driven searches can potentially flag that across huge amounts of footage much more easily than just dark clothing.
Right, give you something concrete to look for.
It does. It helps narrow things down, gives people a tangible reference point if they think they saw someone. You know, it also makes you wonder, the suspect planned so much, did they overlook these details? Or were they chosen deliberately for some reason?
Interesting point. It really shows how, yes, small fashion choices can become major evidence. You might not remember a face in a crowd, but maybe you remember that specific eagle shirt.
Precisely. That could be the detail that breaks it open. Every little piece helps build the picture.
And to try and encourage more information, maybe get that crucial tip, there's now a significant financial incentive on the table.
The reward, yeah.
The FBI is offering $100,000, a substantial amount, for information that leads directly to the arrest of the shooter.
And that kind of money, It definitely signals how high priority this is, shows the authorities' commitment. It can certainly motivate people to come forward who might otherwise hesitate.
But you mentioned earlier, with all this attention, there's another problem: disinformation.
Yes, a huge challenge, especially online and especially when politics are involved. Officials have been very explicit in warning about this. False reports, rumors spreading online about who the suspect might be.
So it's not just the volume of tips, but the accuracy or lack thereof sometimes. What's the real danger there?
It's twofold, really. First, it can totally derail the investigation, waste precious time and resources chasing down bogus leads. Second, and maybe more critically, it can put innocent people in danger.
People getting falsely accused online.
Exactly. Targeted, harassed,
Yeah.
based on nothing but speculation or malicious rumors. So, authorities are pleading with the public: share credible evidence only. Be incredibly careful about repeating unverified stuff online.
It's a call for responsible citizenship, really.
It absolutely is. You, as an informed listener, play a role here. Knowing how to spot bad information, not spreading it, it's crucial in cases like this. It can cause real harm.
Okay, finally, we can't really talk about this case without acknowledging the reaction. The public and political response was immediate and pretty significant.
Unavoidable context, really.
Right from the beginning, this killing has been widely framed as a targeted act, even a political assassination. And that's not just commentators saying that.
No, it's come from high-level officials. The governor of Utah used that kind of language.
Yeah.
State authorities, many politicians too. And that consistent use of terms like targeted, like political assassination, it immediately puts the event into a specific frame. It signals that this is seen as more than just a homicide.
It suggests motive, right? Political motive.
It strongly implies it. It suggests a message, an act with wider political reverberations. And that language, it shapes public understanding, directs emotion. It might even influence how resources are allocated.
And then President Trump weighed in as well.
Yes, President Trump stated that Charlie Kirk will be awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom posthumously. That act further solidifies this perception. It elevates the event onto a national stage, frames it within a narrative of political significance, political loss. It's definitely not being treated as just a local crime.
And that framing, coming from top figures, it's powerful. It shapes how people see the event, maybe even before all the facts are in.
It absolutely does. It sets a tone, influences the public narrative deeply. It makes you consider how the language leaders used really does shape our collective understanding of these major tragic events. Turns an individual tragedy into something with national resonance.
So let's try to wrap this up for today. We've covered quite a bit. The ongoing effort to identify that person of interest from the footage.
Bring in the visual trail.
The specific forensic clues, the palm print, the shoe prints, that arm mark.
The physical signatures left behind.
We talked about the massive public response, the thousands of tips, and the huge challenge of sorting through all that information, especially with disinformation swirling.
The signal and the noise problem.
And finally, the significant political framing of the event right from the start. It's a really complex picture, and obviously it's still unfolding.
It really is. And what we see is this intricate dance, maybe, between high-tech surveillance, the power, and sometimes the problem of public input.
Yeah.
And just the meticulous, boots-on-the-ground work of investigators. Bringing justice in a case like this, it needs all those things working together, sifting, verifying, connecting dots that aren't obvious, especially when the suspect clearly put thought into escaping.
So maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to take away from this.
Yeah, something to think about. Considering everything we've discussed, the detailed planning that seems apparent, the specific digital and physical clues left behind, the sheer volume of tips, and this intensely political environment, what does the fact that the suspect remains at large tell us? What does it suggest about the challenges law enforcement faces today in tracking down individuals, especially when motives might be deeply ideological in our hyper-connected yet incredibly complex world?